the next game slated to happen on Saturday. It's going to be the afternoon 4 o'clock game, I'm pretty sure. The Rams versus Seahawks. And Goff, we don't know if he's going to play. He just had thumb surgery. What's your question?
No, I'm saying that was a question.
A question mark.
Yeah.
Oh. So he had surgery on his thumb, and even if Goff does play, that's going to affect him a lot.
Yeah.
And Goff has been playing inconsistent as is. So him with a thumb injury, he's been inaccurate without it. I don't have much confidence in Jared Goff playing well. I'm not saying I'd lean John Wolford because,
there's not really many good options.
But it's just I don't think Jared Goff will make much of a difference in a game like that just because of his thumb injury, and I think it's going to be a huge downfall to his play.
I think over the last few weeks we've seen the Seahawks defense improve a lot. But I think if we're just talking about these two teams, and luckily we have evidence because these two teams play twice a year, this Rams defense has learned to stop this Seahawks offense, and I think that's what's key in beating Seattle because I think this defense, you can't trust in them a lot. And if you can stop the Seattle offense, then you can beat them. And I think with the weapons out there, and Jalen Ramsey, who we've seen completely take DK out the game, and when you take DK out the game, Russell Wilson, he kind of slows down a little bit. He's been slowing down, like you said, he's been slowing down these last couple of weeks. So I think even if Jared Goff does play, who we've seen the inconsistencies, we've seen that sometimes he looks to disappear, even if he does play, with Cooper Kupp playing, with Robert Woods, I think they can get it done enough if that defense can stop Seattle's offense. So I would probably lean, if Goff plays, this is if Goff plays, I think I would go with the Rams in a close one. If he doesn't play, though, I have Seattle winning. But even then, if the defense stopped them, the backup doesn't have to do much but just put a couple points on the board.
And McVay has even said, because reporters have been asking him this question, if Goff is going to play, he even told reporters he's not answering that question. So there's probably a little bit of mystery there that McVay doesn't want to be like Goff is playing, and now the Seahawks playing for Goff. Regardless, if I don't think the Seahawks are planning for Wolford. I think they're going to plan for Goff regardless if it's set in stone if he's going to play or not.
Yeah, even if he knew that Goff was going to play, I think he would milk this as long as he could, which he can do all week because he's coming off a serious thumb injury. But both of these teams are dealing with some serious injuries, and a lot of people aren't talking about the Seahawks injuries. Jamal Adams obviously is going to be a game-time decision, Pete Carroll said. And they had some other people not participating in practice. Jerron Reed, the defensive tackle. Chris Carson didn't participate in practice. The tackle Dwayne Brown didn't participate. And Mike Iupati, I think that's how you pronounce his name, was a limited participant. So they're dealing with a bunch of different injuries that can affect them, especially Jamal Adams, because I think one of the keys of the game for that Seahawks defense is getting pressure no matter who's at quarterback. If it's John Wolford, obviously, you get pressure on him. He's going to be shaking in his boots no matter what, potentially getting his
Jamal
second
Adams
start.
is playing.
He is playing.
Yeah. Pete Carroll said in an article that I read, he said they're going to probably be at full strength.
That was 45 minutes ago. So
but also the Rams are getting Andrew Whitworth back on Saturday.
Okay,
he's playing.
When I saw they said Jamal Adams was a game-time decision. So if he didn't play, I think that would have been a big loss.
But I think we both know if Jamal Adams is a game-time decision and it's a
probably,
playoff game, he's going to play.
He definitely is going to play.
That's Jamal Adams. I count on him to play 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But when you look last week, I thought that John Wolford actually did a better job than I would have expected out of him. He was not good by any stretch, and his first throw was probably one of the worst throws I've seen all season on a football field. Like, it was unbelievable how bad of a throw it was. But the rest of the game, he seemed to settle in a little bit. He missed a bunch of wide-open receivers, which is concerning. But McVay, he's one of the best head coaches in football. He did a good job scheming receivers open and making the game as easy as possible for Wolford. So, keeping the offense simple is all the Rams can do. You're not going to get John Wolford to make game-winning plays for you. So that's the concern. And even if you had Jared Goff back there, you mentioned it, he hasn't been the best healthy this season. So coming off a serious thumb injury, we already knew when he was healthy, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league under pressure. And what do the Seahawks excel at? Getting to the quarterback. Jamal Adams is one of the greatest blitzing safeties in the history of the league. So, it's just not a great matchup. The Rams defense is incredible. And maybe if they were at full strength, I would feel better about them, but I just don't see how their offense can keep up. They need their defense to put on a lights-out, spectacular performance, and I just don't see that happening.
I'm on the fence with this game, and I can see their defense putting a spectacular performance.
They have the talent.
When you look at the Rams' defense, right now, I'm pretty sure they're like the second best defense in the league right now. You have Aaron Donald, who's probably one of the best, who is the best defensive player of this generation by far, I think. And then Jalen Ramsey. You mentioned how he shuts down DK Metcalf, but he's been shutting down every receiver this season. He's only allowing 20 yards per game.
I was like, wow.
That's how great Jalen Ramsey has been. And you look at their secondary, Troy Hill isn't playing great. Darius Williams is playing great. So these guys, they're actually the first-ranked defense in yards per game and in points. So they're number one in both. So the only way I see the Rams winning this game is if they shut down the Seahawks offense.
It's the only possibility.
And based on how their offense has been playing, Wilson has been playing, I think that's possible. What also helps is that this is a team that you faced 2 times in the year. So you already know what they're going to do. You can game plan for them better. So usually when teams face those many times, their matchups tend to be low scoring. Yeah. So it's really just going to be on that offense. If the defense can make some plays and score, then that'll be great.
I was just going to say the only way I see the Rams winning this game is that they get a defensive or special teams touchdown, because they're going to have such a hard time, especially since the Seahawks defense has been playing much better as of late. They're going to have such a hard time putting the ball in the end zone. And, you know what the Seahawks have on the offense side of the ball. Yeah. I know Russell Wilson hasn't been as good as he was in the beginning of the season, but he's been here. I trust him to turn it around in the playoffs, to have great weapons offensively, and John Wolford is going to have to match that on the other side of the ball. So,
and this the thing for me is that we look at the Rams, they have an elite defense. We don't even question that. The Seahawks have been playing better defensively. I think since week 11, they're only allowing 15 points per game. But those teams that they face are the Cardinals, the Jets, the 49ers, the Rams, Washington, the Eagles, and the Giants.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but as you're saying, as the defense has been getting better, Russell Wilson has been slowly digressing. So that's something that we should be looking at too.
And if we're being honest, like against these teams that they faced,
don't talk about my Eagles.
That Jets game inflated their stats a lot. We only scored 3 points. So that Jets game, if we score 15 points,
our game too,
they might be averaging like 20 points per game, so they might be allowing 20 points per game. So the teams that they have been holding back defensively have not been very impressive outside of the Cardinals and the Rams. Those are the only teams that are impressive. Everybody else are teams that aren't even 500. So I don't trust that defensive performance can translate not only against this game, because this game I think it probably could, because the Rams aren't a very great offense this season. But if they face like the Packers or Tampa, I don't think it translates at all.
That's a whole different story, because then you're playing elite level quarterback play and you will get burnt downfield. If you have to play Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams and Robert Tonyan, or the Bucs with Tom Brady and his array of weapons, they will destroy you, pick you apart.
Jalen Ramsey versus Devontae Adams would be really fun.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Seahawks.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the Seahawks defense, because they don't have the secondary to keep up with either of those teams. I just think that this week, with the matchup offensively, whether it's Goff playing through an injury, who I haven't been high on all season long, when healthy, or it's John Wolford in his second NFL start. This isn't the AAF. This is the NFL playoffs. Pete Carroll game planning against the team in his division. It's going to be a great matchup, I think, just because it's 2 great head coaches with a week to prepare against teams they've seen 2 times already this year. I think it's going to be a good game to watch. Maybe not a good game to watch, but I think it will be a close game to watch.
So you have the Seahawks winning.
I do think the Seahawks win.
Who do you have winning?
Rams.
You have the Rams winning?
If they don't score on defense or special teams, they will not win.
I think Wolford could get a score in, and I think, like you said, the defense is going to get enough. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the defense is going to come to play, and they're going to shut Seattle down.
I have the Seahawks winning. I think in the playoffs especially, they have been magical over the years. And I just think I don't trust Jared Goff. Jared Goff's health and his thumb and how accurate he can be. if they don't have consistent quarterback play and their offense is terrible throughout the game, I just don't see a scenario where they can win this game because I count on, even though the Rams defense is great, I count on Seattle to protect the ball enough to not allow them great field position to score multiple times.
They're such a seasoned team. Like this is not the Bills where, as great of a team as they are, they had one playoff game last year, but they haven't really been there recently. The Seahawks have been a playoff staple every year. Russell Wilson has been here. Pete Carroll has been here. You know, they have a bunch of guys still on that core from, you know, the last few years, so they're a seasoned playoff team.